All right, hi everybody. Welcome to this live Friday, beautiful night. I'm coming on a little earlier because I got class later and didn't really want to miss um, picking up somebody afterwards. So actually, I'm picking up my son. Anyway, I was just speaking about getting shadow banned and whatnot, and I thought it was funny. I was going to reveal to y'all some interesting things that have been happening on my account recently. So, oh, you said you had accidentally unfollowed. Okay. So I was combing through some of my videos because randomly out of nowhere, TikTok had banned a video that I had up for almost 2 years, just out of nowhere, and it just got banned for people's For You page. So I ended up going on it and appealing it, and they accepted it, and I thought that was wild. Well, I started combing through some of my videos, and here's what they've been doing without me knowing is the I've seen when I post my video, I will watch it like a hawk because I know that they're real fishy, they're real tricky. They like saying that my content is like a QR code, and they'll ban it from my For You feed, and my For You feed is 90% of my traffic, 90%. All right. So when they ban my video for anybody's For You feed, 90% of my traffic is gone off the bat. Well, I started going through some of my old videos, and I've noticed they were sneakily banning them for people's For You feeds without informing me. Like stuff from a year ago, 18 months, 6 months, 7 months, whatever. I wasn't looking at the data. I track them for about a week or two, and then I really don't look at the data anymore as far as the analytics on it. So they've been sneakily banning my videos without informing me, and then what happens now, this is new. This is all new. When I go to appeal it, they say you've missed the appeal window. There's only a short amount of time that you're allowed to appeal a ban or something. So, so sneaky. What they're doing is banning my stuff for people's For You feed without informing me from videos from 10, 15, 20, 30 videos back. And then because they're not informing me, I can't even notice it. And then then they'll say, "Oh, you've missed your window for appealing it." So 90% of my traffic for 4 or 5 of my videos is gone completely. And what I also noticed is, so they've throttled me down about 10% of what I used to get originally, and now they're also banning me for You page, which is 90% of my traffic. So I am like, it is tough money trying to get some views out here in TikTok world. And then, but I did see something interesting on my YouTube channel. My last video went out, to 40 people. I couldn't believe it. Like normally they were throttling it down to 3 or 4. Like I put a video on YouTube, it would go to 3 to 4 people. My last video got 40 views, yo. I was like, sweet. I can't believe. So, user 90308, thank you so much for the rose. Your gifts will be used to help my journey. Much appreciated. Anyway, I'd like to thank all you guys for joining on. Please feel free to ask any and all questions. This time is set aside. I would much rather be sleeping, but I am up on here getting ready to help any and all who ask questions, so feel free to ask anything. Cap and gunplay. I need access to DTC for my bonds. Where do I start? First of all, they're not your bonds. They're the Social Security Administration's bonds. Okay, that's what it says on the card. It says that it belongs to, even the number belongs to the Social Security Administration. It's not yours. Second, if you've watched all of my videos, so I've posted about 4 or 5 DTC videos, that would be the good start. And then from there, you can listen to audio in my class folder on my website, which is where I get a bulk majority of my information from, which is stuff I've been studying for over 12, 13 years now. So that's a good start. I also had somebody reach out to me wanting to understand the MCO process. So it's very important to try to understand all the dynamics and have a good grasp of things before you jump into certain things. Evolving Seeds, you're still featuring my work on my site. Much appreciated. Oh, wow, my whole monitor went blank for a second. That was wild. I'm glad you're featuring my content. I am updating my website continuously. I've posted about 380 videos, new videos on my website recently. I still have 900 and something to go. Like I said, I got to get in the mood. Like right now, I'd rather be napping, because I'm getting ready. I got a bachata class after this, and then I'm picking up my son. So I've been staying kind of busy. Xavier, my question is, what made you want to educate yourself on this kind of stuff? Because I ended up getting arrested for, I mean, I used to do drugs, I'm not going to lie, about, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And I ended up getting into some trouble for not snitching on somebody. And I thought it was just the wildest ride. It was like a horse and pony show going through the legal system. I spent 3 years in jail for not snitching on somebody. And the judge told me that he has to sentence me to jail. He has to sentence me to 3 years. And I didn't understand what that meant. So during my incarceration for 3 years, I ended up reading a lot of the Bible, and then also wanted to learn about law. And it was just kind of I was very intrigued with the biblical law, the written law of the Bible, and why everybody wants to be bound by the law in the written law, and why it's always been given to give people guidelines and rails to operate, because they don't understand how to use righteous judgment for every decision on a case-by-case basis, second-by-second basis. So I started. I would say spirit is where where really the law stuff started coming into play with me, and then from there I ended up starting to learn the commercial processes. Because when the straw man, I thought I knew a lot of stuff, right? And then I realized I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. Then I realized that the straw man, somebody in jail asked me to look up the CUSIP number on their straw man, and I was like, what the heck? They wrote me. I got out. They wrote me, and that's kind of what kicked me into the commercial gear. They asked me to look up the CUSIP number on the straw man, and I looked it up, and I was like, what's a straw man? And then I was like, oh my gosh, the U.S. Citizen is a freaking corporation. I'm like, that's crazy. I thought it was me. I thought the whole time I was embodying ignorantly that corporation as if it was me. And I didn't know that I was the authorized representative of it. I think I saw a question. I'm slightly under the weather, not much. I got a little bit of sniffle and cough. Seen a question? Is exemption identification number the SSN without dashes and parentheses? So if you look on the, I think it's the Social Security Administration's codes and statutes, it will say that the Social Security number without dashes is a different number. Like, it has to have its dashes in the right place, because it kind of separates the difference between a FEIN and an SSI, Social Security identification tax number. But they are all basically tax identification numbers. They're all TINs and ITINs. They're all individual tax identification numbers or corporation tax numbers. So there is no exemption identification number unless you're referring to, once you go through the DTC, then you're able to zap debt obligations with that participant number. Once you get it and you've exchanged one of your 10 Social Security bonds through the private side of a closed account, basically with back office banking. All right, let's go down and see if there's any more questions. Nope, there's no more questions. I'm trying to think. There was something else I was going to tell you about that happened this week. It was kind of wild. Been having lots of fun, doing all kinds of things, getting into all kinds of trouble. King B8, I mean employer identification number. Like I said, they're all the same. It's a tax identification number. The Social Security number is the linchpin that turns the U.S. citizen into a federal employee, as the codes say that any individual that is involved in a federal benefits program is classified as a federal personnel. So the Social Security Administration is a federal benefits program because it is a retirement Social Security type of system, and anybody who uses that is basically turns their citizen into a personnel. As always, Charles, you are a wealth of information. Thank you. Yes, Mark, that's what I'm here for. Y'all can use me. Feel free. A lot of people charge thousands of dollars of this. For instance, for just a side hustle, I have people paying me $400 an hour just to give consultation on property management stuff, just for fun. I mean, I'm not making no money on this. This is a passion that I do. It is, elevating y'all and enlightening y'all is basically enlightening me, because we're all one in this. But for a little fun side hustle, and that's just on property management stuff. And I've only been messing with that for a couple years. The commercial stuff I've been doing for 13 years, so I have a good basis grasp on that. And it's funny, that guy that posted that video that said continuously that he has no clue what I'm talking about, but yet he's been learning and studying for 20 years. And just throughout my whole video, as he's talking bad about me, he continues to say, I have no clue what this guy's talking about. Like equity is the highest form of law. He had no clue about that. On and on and on and on. But anyway, I hope everybody's doing it great and enjoying this nice Friday night. Feel free to ask any of y'all questions. If you want to watch a recap of this live, my live will be on YouTube. The audio will be in my Telegram group. I give exclusive consultations. Oh, this was something I was going to tell y'all. I recently downloaded an app for my website. So now if you text my number on my website, it goes straight to me, because a lot of people don't like to call it. So if you don't call it, if you want to text it, I will actually now get it in real time, whereas before I was only checking it once a week. So I need to update my website to say that you can text now, and I'll basically answer immediately. Because I used to have, I'd have text messages waiting in there for weeks. But anyway, again, this live video will be on YouTube. The audio will be in my Telegram group. I have exclusive content on all my social medias. My social medias are linked on my website. My website is linked on my profile page of TikTok. I have created playlists to help re-educate everybody. I really wish everybody would go through the playlist. For instance, I have somebody that just tried to get an MCO, and they gave the dealer the power of attorney to register the car, but not to transfer ownership. He scratched out the transfer of ownership, but and I'm not sure if that's you, Mark, if that's, I think I'll have similar flags or whatever. But it takes a lot of time to understand all the nuances and all the little things, and that's why I basically come on here to try to help everybody to give them, good foundational knowledge that they can re-listen to on my live if they want to. Okay, Mark, it's not you, good. Well, anyway, this guy or girl, ended up letting them register the MCO and gave them power of attorney to register the car. And yeah, he showed me an interesting text message where it said that they can only deal with dealerships and blah, blah, blah. But he is dealing with Hyundai, which is a big dealership. I've seen people get better success with some of the smaller auto dealerships because, you're supposed to basically say you're taking this vehicle out of the United States. You have to tell them which you are. The U.S. is a corporation located in the District of Columbia. Okay, so you're taking the vehicle out of that commercial realm, so because every asset belongs to the District of Columbia that you register to a corporate state, because it's all been pledged to the international bankers. So you have to basically say that you're taking the car out of the U.S. and you'll be transferring it. You can say you're the representative of a trust, or you can do whatever, and then you have to sign something, from what I've seen, that says that you are not going to be driving, commercial term, on public roads, which you're not. You're going to be traveling in the republic of whatever state you're in, but you also have to understand things. So as soon as you get that, you can have that vehicle towed to an offsite until you get all the, I would suggest making tags that are very of like kind to the locals, okay? So it doesn't have to be a public registered plate, but again, here's what happens. When these patriots that come in half learned, half cocked, and you got to understand that all of the public servants have sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution and to protect foreign and domestic terrorists, okay? And when you come out of left field, out of nowhere, and you've got this car with flamethrowers, and it has all these bolted spikes on it, and it basically says, I'm above the law, and you have no tags and all this stuff, you're disrupting the public, okay? You want to be colorable, always. Just for instance, like my last being sovereign in court stuff. The guy was being very colorable, and so was the judge. And you have to understand what's being said and what is not being said. It's a very tricky game. It's for people who are very well learned in contract law. Well, if you're going to be trying to travel outside of the corporate state and you're going to be trying to travel in the republic, you want to be kind of colorable, because the public can't handle assets. They are all bound by the written laws and want to be, because they don't want to be responsible. They don't want to self-govern. They don't want to understand and take the time to learn, They just want to follow the fads. They want to watch hot girls twerking all day or sit down and drink beer. They don't want to they're in their little bubble, okay? And trying to wake people up from that is not an easy task. But when you're traveling down the road and you've got not for hire on, what you're supposed to if you get a DOT number, if you want to put your vehicle as in a safe repository to let the police know that you're safe to travel. I always suggest too that you give notification to all the jurisdictions that you're going to be traveling through, just to let them know, hey, I'm sovereign on the land. I'll be traveling through, conducting my personal affairs, you know, I would set it up in a trust or put it in a security agreement and give notification to all the jurisdictions you can be traveling around. Anyway, let me see. I think I had some questions here. Nick, I've listened to many for almost 2 years. Less than a handful are as knowledgeable, willing to inform. Oh, yeah. You know why? Because a lot of them only care about money. Money is their god, and that is their master, and that is what they are there for. They want to sell a little bit of product. They're saying, hey, here's the easy button. Here, I'll give you all these documents. Pay me $1,000. I'll give you unlimited help, and then you're left on the other end of the phone, not even knowing. I'll tell you straight up, point blank. You can do any paperwork you want. If you don't have the knowledge and understanding and foundation to back it up or basically defend yourself or your position, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. You might as well get a roll of toilet paper. I'll tell you what, send me $1,000. I'll give you a roll of toilet paper and I'll tell you how to enforce it. Because I could enforce something on a bar napkin or a piece of toilet paper. But guess what? Could you? Because once you go to one of these gurus that are selling you some course that are just going to say, here's the easy button, pay me money, and then here's your documents. And then that's it. You're basically getting toilet paper because you don't have foundations of understanding. You don't have basically the knowledge to be able to back your stance or stand on the positions to take if you want to defend yourself or your paperwork or your position. It's all about contracts and being able to enforce position stakes and claims, and that's why one of the things I talk about is status and standing. All right, so but yeah, you can study for the rest of your life, and for instance, I mean, like doctors and lawyers and all these people that are indoctrinated, they can be very, very, very well learned and very proficient in their profession, but they're still indoctrinated. If you don't have the certain foundations of understanding to be able to chew through garbage and sift through and see what's gold, then that's what you'll end up getting. For instance, I look at it like the grocery store. If you go to the grocery store, 95% of the stuff is garbage, okay? It is tailored by scientists to taste good and be addictive. That is it. They find scientists, these big mega corporations that put the right amount of sugar, salt, and addictive stuff in it and preservatives to get you to just keep on wanting more. Then they make up a manufacturer's fake expiration date on it, so it has to go bad immediately, even though it's just sitting in your thing not receiving air, and it has freaking pumped with all these chemicals for preservatives, but yet it goes bad in 2 days. It's all a scam. So it's the freaking public school system, which, when I was going through it, they would change every year. I was trying to go through the process just to learn different SECTs, just to try to balance out my knowledge, because I would do something I liked and then something I didn't like. And they would change a couple letters in each book, and then you would have to buy a new book. They would say, you cannot take this class without this new book, version 38.9, 384-2. And they just changed 2 paragraphs in it. It's like, the book is 99.9% the same. It's like, yeah, but that's the rules. You can't take this class unless you take this with this new book that is 2-.A instead of 2-B or whatever. It's such a scam. Mark, as I've heard you say many times, always stay within an honor. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if somebody, I'm not saying if somebody smacks you in the face, you just smile. Sometimes you gotta be able to defend yourself. On a lot of different positions. Guys, thanks for all the likes, follows, and shares. Much appreciated. There's a time to be combative. I'm not going to say that there isn't. I wouldn't suggest doing that when a police officer stops you. That is one of the most ignorant things I think someone could ever do, is try to go to war with your public servants who have been set there, and part of their duties during times of war is to investigate if there's different types of terrors going on. That's just part of their job. And then these quote-unquote patriots don't want to identify themselves. And part of their job is to understand who you are, what you're involved in, and make sure you're not trying to harm people. That's all they're trying to do. That's it. Okay? If you've done all your due diligence and you have the true title to your car, and you've given notification or notice, and or you have a DOT on it. My video went out again. I wonder what's going to happen on my live, because that's the second time my screen got scrambled. That doesn't happen very often. I wonder if it's still recording. Okay, let me see some of these questions. Okay, this all right, it's jumping quick. What is the first 2 bullet points to start with learning trust? Learning trust is read Weiss's Concise Trustee Handbook. That will give you the basis of all, a good foundation of understanding. And then listen to my video on trust, which that is one of them, believe it or not, that got banned for people's For You feeds, which I don't, it's just crazy. Why would you ban something? I'm just talking about trust. But again, I don't know why they ban almost everything. I put a poem up, they ban it. I put a disclaimer up, they ban it. I can't win. It's just tough. You have Weiss's Concise Express Trustee Handbook. Okay. I'm just going to dive into your website. Tap the screen. Absolutely. Thanks, Evolving Seas. Yeah, I have much more information on my website under Commerce Business Structures and look in trust. Now, my website is missing. I have a lot of folders. I'm adding new folders all the time, new videos. I'm rearranging stuff. And it's just a continuous work in progress that I just need to keep tackling. Diminutio mutuo. Oh, yeah. And there's also additional. There's another Gilbert's treatise on trust or something. That's in that folder as well on my website that you can read. That's a much more in depth trust handbook. But the Weiss's Concise Trustee Handbook is a good basis for starting and understanding the dynamics. Diminutio minima. Anyone going down this path should already know they have to administer themselves. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, I don't mind giving lawful guidance. I have a lot of people that want to reach out to me and want me to give them legal advice. And all the time I try to tell them, if you're not very well learned or prepared, I don't suggest trying to take on the legal system. Start small. Start with, start learning understanding contracts with your kids and friends and neighbors. Like, start understanding if you ask questions. Start conditionally accepting stuff that they say. Start understanding that you are the divine sovereign authority in charge of everything. Okay, that's get that good foundation of understanding of what sovereignty means and is. We've all been indoctrinated to be consumers and employees on a farm. Okay, you gotta undo all of that mentality that have been shoved down our throats since birth. And when you are children growing up, that's one of the most important times a brain while it's forming and stuff like that. And we're all just kind of taught wrong for a reason. Rhythmace, where have you been? It's been a while. I come on here every week. I've been coming on at a different time. I started doing bachata class at where I'm at 7:30 at night. And it doesn't get out till 8:30, and then I drive, grab a quick snack, come on here, and I get on here late. And I noticed on my first couple late night lives, I was having an average of 40, 45 people, which is double what I got now. I got about 20, I think, what it's saying. I was getting 40, 45, 50 people on my lives, and so I was like, oh, let me try this a few times. But I got different plans tonight, so I'm coming on a little early. Awareness Daily, what's up, man? Self-governed, self-administered. Yes, that's a maxim. I mean, straight up, if you don't want to govern yourself, it will be done for you. Somebody will do it for you. That's the maxim. Govern thyself, or it most surely will be done for you. What's up, Supreme Saint? How you doing? Deep discern. Be at peace with everyone and everything. Absolutely, it's a harmonic balance system. There goes my screen again. Wow, it's just going. I don't know what the heck. I don't know if I need to plug my something in or what the heck's going on. Now, my screen usually doesn't skits out like that, but it's been going on. Gilbert's Law Summaries on Trust. Yeah, that's right, Supreme Saint. I think that's in my trust or my folder on my website. Mark, no problems here. You're good. Awesome. Wait, what? Can you show a video of any? This has worked successfully. Thank you, Black Swan, for the heart. Much appreciated, mi amigo. Show a video where any of this has worked successfully. What is any of this? I talk about thousands of things. I make videos about thousands of things. What do you want proof of substantially? You have to mention that. Awareness. The public is an even playing field for those that know. Hey, yep, and so can the private be. But I would almost say that the public. Oh, and this is another thing I was gonna tell you. I watched somebody suggested on my video, and I went ahead and did it. I rented the video. It cost a couple bucks. It was like $3. It's called Interflections. All right, and it basically talks about a different. It talks about great points of view about how to live on a even kind of playing field without capitalism. Okay, capitalism destroys everything. It destroys the earth. It destroys morale. And it basically explains how it creates death. Because of the stress by separating further and further the people from the poor to the people who are rich. It amplifies. It is like an amplification of making you poorer if you're poor and richer if you're rich. And like it's hard to be in the middle, which is a good chunk where what is it, 1 or 2% owns 80% or 60% of the wealth of the entire world type stuff. That kind of game, and it explains how to subvert that. Well, not so much how to subvert it, but how you could well, really, they just created a whole utopia in the movie. But in my mind, after I watched it, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, well, so what would you do with the people that are criminals? If you've got this utopia of peace where everything's 100% efficient and self-sustained and everybody pitches in and whatnot, what would you do with the people that want to steal or rob or hurt people or whatever? Do you annex them off the island? Do you that's another funny thing about law, where law comes in. A lot of the public needs to be bound by that kind of stuff because there are, just like your body has cells, it has bad cells sometimes that need to be flushed or washed out, or bad things. Same thing out there in the public. There are some people that are up to no good, that want to cause harm and malice, and basically are cancer cells walking around. But the public, I would say, it's hard to say it's an even playing field to me. I would almost say that taking time to learn about the private is an even playing field. And if somebody wants to take that effort, they can become more knowledgeable and more understand, because the public is, well, it's kind of taught. Yeah, it is. I mean, to an extent, it is kind of taught. Everybody's kind of given the same thing. But even in the public full system, it's designed to separate people into classes and keep you there and basically make you think you're stuck there. Supreme Saint, thank you for the apples. Your gifts will be used to help me on my journey to help others. Much appreciated. Mark, knowledge is power. Very much so. Journey to awaken. Is it legal if the state clerk of the court won't provide me with a judge's oath of office and bond? They're actually, they try not to give that out willy-nilly. It is typically there, or they're operating in fraud. I think you have to. I've watched so many videos, it's hard to remember how to do it, but I remember somebody saying that they would pretend like they are a paralegal and they're doing a class study and they wanted to learn where it would be held, and they basically asked from that position, saying, I'm doing an essay, on basically on the legal system, and wanted to know where the judge's oath and office are held. I believe it's an insurance. They have to be insured and bond in order to hold a public office, and they also have to swear an oath. All right, let's see where I'm at. Start with the maxims of law. Yeah, that's a good way to get a good foundation of understanding of the laws that are in place and how to operate, right? And I even had somebody reach out to me and they said that they're basically putting a fee schedule together for everybody's rights, and that's kind of like their mission. And I'm like, well, it would take a long time for me because I have unlimited rights, right? So starting to try to put those on paper. Now, I'm not saying that I haven't seen it. I told him I've seen a bunch of them on my walk. I've seen a bunch of people that have fee schedules for if you stop me or if you do this or you do that or infringement, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that those aren't enforceable, because anything's enforceable if you know what you're doing. So what I'm saying is, their walk is to put everybody's rights on paper. And I'm like, she's going to be there for a long time because I have a right to sneeze on the floor. I have a right to flick boogers to the left. I have a right to walk. I have a right to wear thongs if I want to instead of, whatever. It's just, it's like unlimited. What's good, Black Swan? How you doing? Study principles. Yes, awareness. Equitable principles, I would say, are one of the equitable maxims would be probably top pri. I would say that's top priority if you're going to learn maxims. I would start with equitable, and then admiralty, and then nature. It would be kind of in reverse of what a lot of people think common law or the land. I mean, the land is very powerful. Don't get me wrong, it is. But water finds its way into the air and the land. Okay, commerce. That's that commerce. It comes up through the clouds. It gets rained down. It goes into the soil. Goes down into the depth. And, water is that level playing field, but equity, the air is above. It's the highest form. So I would say equity, admiralty, and admiralty is one of those hard things to find. It's one of those tricky things. I do have an admiralty dictionary, but it is admiralty law, maritime law is it's kind of a niche, tricky thing to try to understand and grasp a hold of. Mark, it must be an issue on your side. No problems with video here. Okay, yeah, so I'm kind of interested to see if it glitches when I watch this video later. All right, where are we at? Equitable, it must be issues on my side. Bro, how you doing? Federal Scammer 1488, 922G1. Yeah, I think that's transporting firearms. There. What's up? What's up, dude? Illegally kidnapped me. I think they legally did it. They might have done some unlawful stuff, but trust me, they know that in the legal system, it doesn't matter what's truthful or right or just. It only matters about what you can prove. And right now, if they have something ledger saying that you were transporting stuff, this, that, and the other, you have an uphill battle. Now my camera's just swapped. I'm telling you something. This is like something's crazy going on. My whole screen like got small for a second. It was like they're swapping something. I might have to mess with the cables down here or something. Admiralty is the nuance, kidnapped illegally, bro. Blah blah blah. All right, 20 maxims of equity, the Magna Carta. So, and I mentioned this I think on my last live. The Magna Carta, the king was held. You want to talk about under duress. I think the king was held by sword point and made to sign. That's under threat coercion right there when he signed the Magna Carta, because they basically said, sign this or we're going to kill you. And so the king really didn't have much of a choice but to sign that. And once he did that, it was basically, game over. However, he did have 3 days to rescind the signature. I would have gotten out of Dodge. I would have gotten all my gold, gotten all the people that wanted to owe allegiance to me, and then basically been like, I'm rescinding that signature, unless it was everybody. If it was everybody wanted to kill him, then I might have just let it stand, and then just, if they let him stay the king. All right, Norman Longstaff. Happy Friday from Chilliwack, British. Happy Friday, yeah. Supreme Admiralty is a nuance. It is like a niche kind of. It's hard to grasp. It really is, and it is a whole nother ball game, and it is very tricky and very powerful. From what I have heard, a lot of the people that try to remain in Admiralty while entering the bar, it's like the same thing. Like judges are just like, whoa, no, you may not remain in Admiralty. And then I've also, it's almost the same thing, though, if you try to say I want to reserve all unalienable rights, titles, and interests. Norman Longstaff, English common law trust is, Sestakevai trust is the beneficiary. That's one of the trusts that are out there, and I think the Sestakevai is the British 1666 thing. And a lot of people think we're all flopsome and jepsome until they reclaim your estate. And you can look at it from that point of view, right? You can look at it as you're basically deemed a minor until you claim the funds in your estate, which is, on the private side. But when I reread that statute that said you're basically a minor until you claim your minor estate, that is referring to a custodian account, which, quote unquote, you could say they are the custodians of it. It's all kind of a tricky game whether or not you can prove that. Interstate commerce, yes, you can prove. Awareness, spiritual principles, then the rest. Yeah, absolutely. Spiritual, equitable, air principles would be 100% top, absolutely, all day, every day. Federal scammer on appeal. All right. Parents patre. Yeah, the state becomes your parent until you reclaim or self-govern. You don't have to reclaim the private assets that are on the U.S. citizen, which is somebody else's creation. That you can do your own thing. You don't have to play by their rules. And if you're going to use the thing that they created, you have to go by their rules. That's just the way the game's set up. Jeff, any input on the Sovereign's Way teachings taught by Greg Paul and John Little? I have no clue who those two people are. I could look into it. I wish I could copy messages on here, but I can't. I have to type it. So, Greg Paul and John Little. Sovereign. Boom. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard it. Stop Fighting Freedom with Greg Paul. Just a little Sovereign's Way. This course is worth all the bangs for all the bucks. All the bangs for all the bucks. Federal Scammers, check your DM when your live is done. I need some help, bro. Yeah, I've sent you several emails. And I think you said you sent me your phone number, and I don't remember what I said last, but I have responded to you. Dimension. I think it was actually a queen, but yeah, Magna Carta. Was it a queen for the Magna Carta? I thought it was a king. Maybe. Let's see. Was it a king? No, I'll put who signed the Magna Carta. Who signed the Magna Carta? Let's see. English political liberty, King John on June 15th. Yeah, it was king. I thought it was king. I just want to double check. Guys, a recap of this live will be on YouTube. The audio will be in my Telegram group. Feel free to reach out and DM to me. You can text me. You can email me. You can call me. I answer messages continuously, answer emails. All of my consultations are free. I do my best to give all of my time. My screen keeps skitzing out over here. I guess it's fine on y'all's end. I don't know what the heck's going on. I have created playlists to help re-educate you. Please take time. For instance, Federal Scammer, please take time to go through my playlists before asking a lot of questions, because it will help answer a lot of the questions that you have, and will I always suggest taking notes while watching the playlist that I've created to help re-educate everybody from the ground up, because we have been indoctrinated for 13, 18, 19, 20 years of our life, and it's hard to undo all of that. So I highly suggest everybody to go through my playlist and take notes, and feel free to reach out to me and DM me if not. All right, guys. So where are we at? I've been in here for 40 minutes. We got a few more, so y'all can feel free to ask any and all questions. Oh yeah, I've gone to scdm.org. There's a lot of good info on that. I can't say that I've vetted all of it, but I have seen some good stuff, and I've also seen some of the old school false teaching stuff, which is basically what a lot of people thought was the truth back then when they were teaching it 20, 30 years ago. Because none of us are, well, I can't say none of us, because we're not taught, in the Skull and Bones Society and the elites, and we're not in the Illuminati, and we're not in the, the 87th degree of Masons and all this other stuff. Thank you so much for the gifts. Who sent Malice? Much appreciated. Your gifts will be used to help me on my journey to help others. Thank you. Because we're not taught from a secret, private, high society like that, it's taken a lot of us collectively many years to try to understand and sift through all this stuff. Thank you so much, guys. Your gifts will be used. Thank you, Malice, for the, what is that? Let them something. Let them cook. And Deep Discerner, thank you for the donuts. Yes, much appreciated. Bree Sunshine, do you know? Federal Scammer, just need better representation, but I will 100% read more on your page. Yeah, it's videos. Federal Scammer. It's basically to understand how things work. And especially if you're going to try to take on the legal system, you have to have a good foundation of knowledge of understanding of courtroom dynamics. You have to understand protocols and procedures and what is admissible. You have to understand what is exceptions to the hearsay rule. You have to be able to do all of your documentation and then enforce it. Because if you don't know all of that, you're not going to be able to do very well. And that's what takes time. And what does that mean? The judge justice said basically few, if any, well-educated laymen are schooled in the science of law, and they require the guiding hand of counsel on every step. And if they don't have that, they will basically face being put in jail upon evidence that isn't even admissible or basically relevant to the case. And so basically what it's saying is we're not taught law at all, and it's hard to try to mess with their system, and you got to be very careful. They have a lot of tricks. Bree Sunshine, do you know anyone who knows how to do it in Canada? Do what? Which part are you talking about, Bree? Edison Vizcarra. When one becomes private, does one need to continue to be employed? Okay, so here's how that works. Unless you are going to drill and well your own water, and make your own food and create your own gas if you're going to be driving, or have your own parcel of land and all that, then you're going to have to figure out who is going to get that stuff for you, or what is going to interface with the public in order to deal with that. Okay, so if you don't have your own land that you have true controlling title over, and you don't have grow your own food and get your own water and all that stuff, then you're going to have to find out how to interact with the public, and the public has to interact with an entity. Now, it does not have to be a U.S. citizen. It can be, and you can have an agent that has a public entity that does the interacting for you, and that's how the elites do. Is they have agents that have agents that have agents that have entities that have entities that have entities to do all their biddings. Okay, so if you don't have all that, when you become private, that's how you become private, is you basically don't have to interact with the public anymore. You don't deal with Federal Reserve notes. You don't have to go to the store. That's why a lot of these super mega rich, well, one of the reasons why the mega rich people create their own huge, gigantic mansion islands with everything they need is because, number one, they don't have to deal with the public anymore. And number two, they can't go in the public because, imagine Will Smith waiting in line at Starbucks. It just wouldn't work, right? And I actually watched a video that said there's underground tunnels where people can travel underneath the ground for some of the super rich that don't even have to deal with public roads or highways. They're just like, it's some super boss stuff. So yeah, that's how that works. Become the trustee of your trust. So we're kind of already the trustee of the individual trust classified as a U.S. citizen. It's an individual trust classified by the IRS, and basically it depends. They're the ones that created it, so they make us the trustees in charge of their property. But you can create your own trusts. You can create your own entities to do business with, and that is how I suggest to do things, because trust is the highest form of law and equity. So you want to basically understand trust law and how to enforce that, and that is why I started off telling Evolving Seeds some of the good foundations to understand. Is like, watch my video on trust, watch my video on title, watch my video on private administrative procedure. I guess just watch my videos. Just watch my videos. And what a sad truth is because nobody wants to learn and everybody wants to take the easy button. Is I have hours and hours of educational videos that I have created, and a lot of people will come with me asking simple things because they don't have foundations of understanding, and I'll say, hey, watch my playlist on my profile. And that's the last I ever hear from them, because it either answer their questions or they don't want to take the time to self-educate. Ben Renner, what to do when you get a letter from the IRS. It depends on what the letter says, okay? That is 100% how that works. When you receive something, it's an offer, and you become the trustee in charge of it. And you're also the trustee in charge of the U.S. citizens' duties and obligations that you end up contracting with and using it to interface with the public with. Because you have to have a dead entity to deal with the public. When you're dealing in the private, you can do, the sky's the limit. Two sovereigns can contract however they want. They can exchange gold, commodities, depends on how they got it, and as long as they have true title to it, right? So if there's like a lien on the steel or the cotton or the oil or whatever that they're trading, then it has underlying duties and obligations. But if you hold true controlling title to any product, commodity, or whatever, and you're a sovereign, you can contract with another sovereign however you want. And if they've got unlimited, true title to stuff or whatever, y'all can box in guidelines, contract together, come up with any types of agreements that you want. It's enforceable. And I think in the Constitution it says that the state cannot interfere with contracts. And that's one of the issues that they had during COVID, when everything was locking down and they were cracking down on the CP, child traffic stuff, kids playing in traffic. I like that somebody said that. That way they don't get banned when they're talking about kids playing in traffic. So when they started cracking down on kids playing in traffic, the state could not interfere with contracts. It's like they're bound by that's the whole game with contracts, is binding people. And that's why it's good to know public policies, codes, and statutes, is so you can bind corporations should you need to. Well, for instance, states cannot impede in contracts, and they were having trouble dealing with all the containers because they were under contracts when they were bought, so they had to use entities that were outside of U.S. jurisdiction in order to enforce certain things to be able to handle business, because the state itself couldn't do it. But all they had to do was contract with somebody who, contracted with somebody else, and you start removing that liability buffer down the road, and they get good. And that's why a lot of people and large politicians use shell companies, because once you start having entities that deal with entities that having deal with entities, it gets real cloudy, right? It's real hard to see what this private entity is doing, what this private entity is doing, with this offshore entity is doing, with this public entity, which, it starts getting a little cloudy and murky. Unless you're dealing with Federal Reserve notes or public funds, then it's kind of easy to follow and transfer what all is going on with them, because that is heavily monitored. All right, where are we at? Deep discerner. We are living beings that can contract with other living beings. Use the trust to interact with other dead entities. Yes, that's how it works. That's how the whole game works. We are the living humans. Well, we're the spirit inside and the private that are pushing and moving this public flesh-bodied frame, okay, that interacts in the public. And then this public flesh-bodied frame is the authorized representative, or can be, of dead entities to interface with the public. You can create and write down anything that you write down is an engraven image and is dead. Okay, it is a dead entity. Unless you have living organisms inside of the ink that you are writing with, anything that you write or transcribe is an engraved image and is dead. Okay, so whatever you write down or put on paper or print or whatever, it is a dead entity. It can be a stack. That's what our corporations are. That's what our U.S. citizens are. They're stacks of paper that can't do anything without what? A living human. We are the underwriters. We are the sureties for all of the corporations to help things move out there in the public. Guys, I reached the bottom. Feel free to ask any questions. It's a beautiful Friday night. After this live, I'm going to end up posting the audio in my Telegram group. If you want to know when I'm going live, you either have to subscribe to me or you have to join my Telegram group. And I basically tell when I'm going to be going live. And there's a wealth of knowledge on all my social medias, which are linked on my website, which is linked on my profile page of TikTok. It's called Anointed New Foundation of Peace.Life. You can take some time and browse around. It has decades of knowledge. I mean, decades of knowledge. Now, there are people that have better libraries than me that have been working on it much longer, but I do suggest taking some time. My Telegram, I think, is called Nature Spirit Commerce Chat Group, but that is linked on my website. So you just go on my website, which is on my profile page of TikTok, scroll down a little bit, and you check that out. Dominion Shinushu, have you changed your status? Yes, I changed my status about 8 or 9 years ago. Well, I didn't change it. I just declared it, okay? Because we're all already sovereign. We're just tricked into thinking and contracting away all of our rights and, thinking that we are only granted privileges on a farm. But that's not the truth. The truth is that we are all already free and sovereign and independent. You just can give up some of those if you want to use benefits and privileges for different corporations. But I did declare my status to all the main sovereign king players on Earth, created a peace treaty with all of the main king player sovereigns on Earth, and I did that a long time ago, long time ago. Set everything up, operating all kinds of trusts and corporations, and Corporation Soul is my favorite entity to deal with. Where are we at? Edison Vizcarra, are there credits a living, breathing human that can use after one creates a private trust? Are there credits that a living, breathing human can use? Yeah. You can use the benefits of, like, once your straw man or your trust deals and does whatever, if it earns some types of units, it can convert that into food, it can convert that into water, it can convert that into, a place to live, it can convert, that's one way the flesh can use, units, but you're talking about, unless you want to eat paper, I don't know how else a human would be able to, like, interfere with units or digital units or whatever, Jack Spade, does the stars on the passport mean anything? Yes, from what I've heard, I've talked to an Indian chief of the Louisiana tribe of is it Creoles? Dang, I've done forgot already. He's got a national passport, and he said that, and I finally looked at mine under a black light. His has 4 stars on it that you can only see on a black light. Okay, mine doesn't. It doesn't have any stars on it. It does have, like, little fibers that you can see in the black light, but from what I've heard, the stars are only visible under blacklight, and his has 4 of them. He's a national that applied as a national. I applied mine regularly and just put the notation that I am a national. The holder is a national. I didn't file for it any crazy way or nothing like that. That's how mine works. But yes, I finally have received confirmation from a national who's basically a sovereign entity, chief of a tribe, a real tribe. That he has a national passport and it has stars on it, 4 stars on it. They can only see under the black light. My understanding is it depends on your security risk is how many stars you have. All right, Edison. As in the credit system that was created for the straw man. Okay, so you, the human, are using credits from the straw man continuously right now. You are going to work as the authorized representative for the U.S. citizen. The U.S. citizen is the one that is getting paid. It is issued to the U.S. citizen, and then you, as the authorized representative, sign the back, and then you get public funds for that entity, and then they do stuff on the private side. They convert it for you because they're agents, because you're not authorized, because you don't have enough knowledge in private banking and how to do any of that stuff to claim private assets. So, and you're not supposed to commingle public to private. You got to use an agent. So you've been using your private credits your whole life out here in the public, but you've been going through an agent to convert it, unless you're getting paid under the table or receiving, Federal Reserve notes, in a different way through bartering, trading, exchanging, or gifting. You've been basically using private credits through an agent to convert it to the public for you to use for the human to interact and live with. Jeff Human, Bree Sunshine. We don't have national here. Do you know what our title in Canada would be? Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, Bree. I spent two and a half hours talking to someone who is well versed in Canadian law, and we were going through all kinds of things. And it's like there is an equivalent to almost everything that the U.S. has in Canada, and the everybody agreed. The United Nations and UN and all that stuff, European whatever, came together and agreed that after 1933 that the U.S. dollar would be the medium of exchange that everything else is backed and tied to, and so. Canada is right there on board with it. All the nations on Earth have agreed that the United States would be the federal or the reserve currency of the world, which I think that might be changing here soon. It seems like it, and I don't know what's going to happen for this. The next few days during this. I've heard to stay indoors for 3 days no matter who wins, but I don't know what's going to happen. A very interesting time coming up. This will be my last live before that event happens. So we'll have to see what happens in a few days. I have some people coming in out of town, so I might actually miss my next live. I might actually miss my next bachata class too. Now I think about it, because I'm gonna be pretty busy. And then the week after that, I got something else I'm going on. So, but anyway. Guys, feel free to ask any questions. If not, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. It's been a beautiful Friday. If you want to catch a recap, this video will be on YouTube, or you can listen to the audio in my Telegram group. Feel free to browse around. My website has auxiliary information to help you on your paths, nature, spirit, or commerce. I have created playlists to help re-educate you. Please listen to those videos that I've spent a lot of time. A lot of them were created to help individuals who had continuous reoccurring questions, but I've basically laid it all out for Foundation, Nature, Spirit, and Commerce. They're also linked on my website that you can watch. Other than that, reach out and DM me an email if you want to. I'll be posting when I go live, or you can subscribe to me and it'll tell you as well. So anyway, enjoy your Friday night. Thank you all for coming out. I love you, much appreciated, and I'll catch you next time when I see you, when I come on here. All right, guys. Bye.